up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another Grizz 901, your number one Memphis Grizzlies show, and it's not even close. Tonight, we get into a 15-point win that didn't look like it was going to be a 15-point win most of the game, but the Grizzlies fought back, especially late, and extended that lead. But they get the win, 119-104 over a depleted Dallas Mavericks team. We'll get into a little bit more of the Mavericks a little bit later, but as we always do, we'll get into a complete breakdown of the game from our players to obviously the Mavs as well. Then we'll get into a little Grizz trivia. And then we'll end the show with a look ahead, as we always do, as we look ahead to the Houston Rockets. The Grizzlies play on Thursday night. So, listen, it's kind of a sleepy night. That was kind of a sleepy game. I know it's cold outside here in Memphis, but we're going to go ahead and get it. But let's go ahead and get to the show. Yo, Nate, what up, man? What up?
I'm alive. I'm here.
That is good. We haven't seen each other since the show started because you like to show up late consistently, but whatever.
I tried to join an hour ago, actually, and the show wasn't published yet. So that's why I was here.
The same. Not even sure what that means. But the Grizzlies do get the win. And so it was, we'll say, as Wayno says, the least impressive win of the season, but I'll take it for sure. It was ugly, but we'll talk about the entire, the guys completely. But off the top rope, Nate, we're not live on Netflix like WWE is tonight, but off the top rope, if you could, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. First quarter made me want to off myself. I was like, oh God, here we go again. After the last two games that were miserable. Did we do a post game after either one of the last two games? Did we do Kings?
Yeah, we did the Kings. It was miserable.
Yeah, it was miserable. Then the next game was just as miserable. They showed up just as miserable for that one. But I was like, oh God, they really gonna do this 3 games in a row? Now we're gonna have to watch a Yuki, Cam Spencer, Luke Kennard, Jay Huff lineup tonight. I thought we paid our penance last year, but then they turned it around. Jaren was awesome all game long. I know Goon is not impressed, but Derek Lively is a pretty good paint defender, and Jaren did a lot of work in the paint tonight. Scottie Pippen, after a rough stretch of games, had a really good game, and so a lot of good stuff. A lot of stuff to be happy about. At this point, when you have the roster like it is tonight, win's a win.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares how ugly it was?
It definitely looked a little shaky, as Brian Conley says of Edey tonight. Edey looked a little shaky, but Goon, that 35, 13, and 5 doesn't impress you. Sheesh. I will say that Jaren looked a little iffy at times, but he ended up looking like the best player on the court majority of the time. I think it was that second half where he finally got going, but much in the second quarter, he was the only guy that we had being able to do anything himself. Like, it looked like we were just running in quicksand the whole time, and it just did not look good. But as Francis says, Jaren Jackson Jr. is an all-NBA player, and unfortunately for the Grizzlies organization, they're going to have to pay him $60 million because he'll be an all-NBA player if he continues what he's doing. But no, we're not going to be we're not giving anything away tonight, just like Wing Guru has to do to Ja. That's on a whole nother level. But
that must be why they're charging $50 per wing.
My God. Like, literally, you get these little wings, and you got to pay $28 for a 12-piece and a fry. Like, them fries ain't costing that much, bro.
Whoever was scrolling past on Twitter, I hope that they tuned into the audio so they didn't just see us doing this. Right. But wings, people, wings.
All right, let's get to the game. So the Grizzlies win 104-119. It was a game that the Grizzlies, it looked ugly at times, as we've talked about, but they do come out with a win. So let's get into Jaren, 35, 13, and 5. The best player on the court tonight?
Yeah, okay. Hands down. Which, granted, wasn't as difficult as it is a lot of nights in the NBA, given the personnel. But yeah, hands down, the best player. Loved that he got 35 and only shot 2 threes. Love to see that. He was getting pretty three happy. So it was nice to see him get back to it. On games like tonight, that's what you like to see him do. So love seeing that. And then the 13 rebounds is what should make Grizz fans the most happy, right? For everybody who hates how much he doesn't rebound, listen, that's a big Mavericks team, even with the guys he have hurt. 13 rebounds against that team is saying something. So love seeing that tonight.
Well, he does rebound well against that Mavericks team. He's done it this season earlier, but he also he's gonna. I think he continues to do it because he doesn't have to worry about the beef up there, right? So they have a lot of length within Lively, but also Gafford. But they're not big guys that he has to really just depend on trying to get around. So I think that's why he matches up weird against them completely. But speaking of rebounds, let's get to John Conchar. I'm wearing my Jitty shirt today, a little Jitty in his city. But I listen, he had 13 rebounds himself. Jitty made a lot of good plays throughout the entire night. There's not a lot that would just jump off of the stat sheet, right? But if you watch the game, you see the little things that he's doing. And because he's in the trade conversations, the rumors, because he consistently just kind of does what he does, it's nothing sexy. I think that in the end of the day, he does look he has been kind of helping a little bit, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing all the little things that he has not been doing, or he wasn't doing at the beginning of the season, right? And if he doesn't do those things, then like he ain't doing nothing, right?
Exactly.
So it was nice to see him do that. And I told you when I left Tennessee, I had a 7 a.m. flight. And the last thing I did before I got on that flight was bet Jitty rebounds and like tripled my money on it. It was awesome. So yeah, anytime Jitty is starting, like rebounds, just go with it. Trust me. But he just does a lot of little things, and that's what he has to do. Because listen, he ain't making a shot. Let me tell you what he's not going to do is make a shot for you. He used to make those threes too, like the corner threes. He used to be able to make at a high clip. It just doesn't exist anymore. So it's great to see him contribute, though, and you needed it. I mean, it's same thing. We talk about the roster right now and where it's at, and it's not pretty, right? So hopefully that changes soon. But you need guys like Conchar contributing. You have to have one of Conchar, Spencer, Huff really contribute. LaRavia, I'll throw in there too. Really contribute night to night until you get your guys back. So
what they needed tonight, as King Ming says, Conchar has that one good game every 2 months. So I thank him for tonight. I agree. He's had more as of recent, but he's the guy that honestly, he's a luxury item. I've said that about him. If you listen to this show or watch this show, so I will say that he's a guy that if you need to depend on, throw him in the starting lineup, you feel okay about. He's not going to be a guy that's ever going to win you a game. If he wants to go to Miami and have a good time down there and bring back a little Jimmy, I'm okay with that too. So we'll get into a little bit of that later on. But let's keep going. Jalen Wells, 14 and 10 tonight, a double-double for him. Thoughts on him overall? He was a plus 18.
Yeah, I mean, he continues to play really well. And it's nice because the shot's not falling tonight, and he still was playing winning basketball the whole time. Right? And I think everybody in Grizz Nation should be with Warren on this. Right? Like, to come in as a rookie late pick and do what he's done for this team. I mean, I don't understand how he's not hands down rookie of the year. It must just be name value stuff, and people aren't actually watching the games. They're talking about it, which imagine that. But he has been unbelievable all year. So it's great to see this night where he's 1 for 5 from 3, 3-11 from the floor. He's still finding ways to get in there, be gritty, and contribute. Lots of great rebounds. There's a lot of good team rebounding tonight. Even on boards where he didn't get, he's getting in there, mucking it up, tipping it out to other guys. A lot of good work from him.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, yeah, he's played very well. His shot falls, and if it doesn't fall, like what else can you do for us? And it's as good as the shooter saying, Shane Battier type level, right? So you do the little things, you play the defense, you get the rebounds, you make some assists here and there. That's what it comes down to. That's what makes the all-around player. That's how you get into the lineup, and that's how you stay in the lineup, even though you are a young player. Pippen impressed tonight. He had 18 points. Did he impress you at all? Do you feel okay about Pippen?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a guy you're going to be able to count on in the big games against the best teams. At least not yet, right? It's early in his career. It is. So it's not to say that he can't be that, but right now he's not. This is what you need him for, though, right? To step in and just be able to have a game here and there where he sparks something for you. And he did that tonight. Listen, big shot I did love. I think I put this in the group text, but the one make to double heat check that he had at some point in their court. Like he made one, and it was like, all right, and the next two shots they're going up.
They're going up, baby.
And they were both bricks. But beside the point, he played really well tonight. Thought he played really good defense as well. Had a lot of really good defensive plays. Some were gambles, but it felt like more like solid defense instead of the gambles that he does a lot of the time. He's always going to gamble a little bit, but less of it tonight. You'd love to see it facilitating well. It's played really, really well. Love to see it. All you want from him is to be solid.
Question. This is from Keith Meeks. I'm going to turn this into
Keith Meeks.
Maddox. Keith Maddox. Sorry, my eyes. Smart move by Jenkins to put Yuki in the game to put Pippen in his place. So Pippen seeing Yuki come in, he's like, whoa. All right, bro. I get it. My bad. All right, let's get him back out. I'll get back in. I'll play better. Is it that simple?
I miss the first few minutes of the first quarter. My entire household, other than me, is very sick right now. So I'm like single dad in it, basically. So I missed the first few minutes, and I started watching right when Yuki checked in. So I have no idea. I just assumed that everybody on the team's basically halfway dead. So we had to put Yuki in. I don't know.
Listen, I agree. That's kind of how it is. All right. So let's go ahead and go to this one because Chuck is asking, and because he is dumb and uninformed, just like myself, but he wants to know about Edey's limited minutes. So, Nate and chat, what say you? Why did Edey only have, I believe it was 13 minutes tonight?
No, because he's getting torched. That's why he wasn't affecting rebounding. He was getting blown by on defense. Rough Edey game. Rough Edey game. And he's a rookie. It's going to happen from time to time. I'm not trashing him, but brother, it was a tough night for him. I felt like he couldn't keep up defensively. Offensively, he was not capitalizing on his size because they just played Lively a billion minutes. It felt like tonight. What did Lively end up playing?
Lively had to play because Gafford got hurt early. So 33 minutes. So
they played him a ton of minutes after that. And listen, Zack Edey's not doing anything against Derek Lively. It's just not. So he's an offensive non-factor. He's not a rebounder, and he's getting torched defensively.
So this is what Greer Gentry on this one. The most dominant college player in 40 plus years, you don't give him any touches. How do you combat that besides the simple conversation of he just didn't have it? It was a bad matchup. He did not look good at all. Is there anything else that you can say realistically? Why do you not give him touches in the moment? But also, why does he have bad matchups that are just so bad?
He has done really well with what you consider the bad matchups recently, I think. It's just a bad game. That's all it really was. Okay. I mean, he has been able to move his feet defensively much better than I thought he would, generally speaking. He is learning how to use his size more and how to rebound instead of just being big. But he's got a ways to go, man. He's got a ways to go. It's just a bad game. And listen, we've given him his props. He's been playing really well. He continues to improve at a really rapid pace. It's been really impressive. Brother, he was unplayable tonight. He just was unplayable tonight, and so tough night. He'll be fine. But yeah, dude, if they would have played him, they might have lost. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It was that big of a difference between him and the next guy up.
No doubt. Is there anybody else on the Grizzlies you want to get into and talk about? Because I do want to talk about some guys on the Mavs team that we've been discussing a little bit. But is there anybody else on the Grizzlies that you want to kind of dig into?
I think a couple things. Huff Daddy had a Huff Daddy game. Love to see it. Luke Kennard continues to do more than just shoot. I think that's good. Even if, listen, he's in a lot of trade talks. He may not be long for this team, but regardless of what the situation is, you love seeing Luke do more than just stand on the perimeter and shoot. So good to see that. BC. I think this is a bit of a conversation because he looked really rough tonight. He's been in trade conversations. I feel the Santi vibe on BC, where not obviously not the play styles. We don't want Brandon jacking anything up from beyond 2 feet. So more so you need the best players around you to succeed.
Yeah,
type of player. We've seen him when all he has to do is sort of be the fourth guy out there and get in there, mess things up, rebound, play hard defense, clean up the looks when guys crash down on Ja. When that's not there, it feels like he becomes a non-factor. Do you think that's the case? Do you think it's worse than that? Do you think it's better than
that? And who you're talking about?
Brandon.
Okay, I thought you were talking about BC. I just want to verify.
Yeah.
So I like BC. I think he's good. I think he's easily a system type player. So he's a guy, and I referenced this in our group chat. It's like X, right? X is fine. X played great into the system that the Grizzlies have, right? And so he's not expected to do much at all. But honestly, like what he gives you a lot of that grit, right? A lot of what this team does not have is the grit. So if you get a guy like BC, he's great for what he is. But would I rather have a Derek Lively? 10 times out of 10. Would I rather have a lot of other guys and even maybe Daniel Gafford? 10 times out of 10. Like there's a lot of guys that are around the league that are very similar to him in size and contract that I would rather have than BC. BC has no outside shot. BC can't do anything in this style of offense. He doesn't do pick and rolls. I don't understand what you would do with this guy besides let him possibly catch it in the middle of the lane and do his little floater. If that's not going and he's not the most athletic guy on the court that night, he's not going to be able to help you. When he has to have that many good guys around him to make him good, bro, you're a good system player, which is fine. But if I had to trade him, I would trade him tomorrow.
Well, it depends on who you're getting back.
True.
Right.
100%.
That's huge because good system players matter. Right. Like you put Al Horford on a different team. He's not Al Horford.
Correct.
Right. Like that's not anymore. Listen, Al Horford back in the day is different Al Horford they have now. But now Al Horford fits perfectly what Boston needs him to do.
100%. Yep.
That it makes a difference. So if it's the right system, you're a good system player. It's good to have you. Can you upgrade? Yeah, 100%. I'm sure we'll talk about it later, specific upgrades that have been passed around. So we can get that later. But it's just something I noticed tonight.
Yeah, I like BC. I think he's a good human. I think he's a good player. I don't want to lose a guy like that for nothing, right? I think what he is and what he brings to. But if I have to come off of him to get something better, like an upgrade, I would do it. He's not the guy that I'm going to stick my flag into the ground and say, hey, this is my guy. I'm ride or die, because realistically, he should be a matchup-based player. He should be coming off the bench. And if he's off the bench making $10 million a year, then I'm okay with that. I think he makes 12 now, so it's not a big difference. But if he's coming off the bench, that's fine. But it is what it is on BC. I do like him. He's fine. But I just hope that we can upgrade that position, because it's not Edey. Edey is very matchup based, and we have Clark, who's very matchup based. Thankfully, Jaren's playing his absolute tail off, and so because of that, I think he covers up a lot of the weaknesses on our bigs. If you saw what happened last time, bro, Jaren getting 6 fouls in the fourth quarter killed us. Because what else are you gonna do? You're gonna go to Huff Daddy. So anyway, all right, let's go to this one first. All right, we got a question. Art's got a question about Kobe White dunk on Wemby. I have not seen it, but if you would, if you're on Twitter, tag us on Twitter. I'd love to see it. I'm at Daniel Greer. He's at Grizz Homer. We're at Grizz 901 Live. But I'll also look for it as well whenever we get done with the show. But I would love to see it because anybody dunking on Wemby has to be amazing. So anyway, all right, let's roll through it real quick. But I do have it's all right, man.
It was technically a dunk on Wemby. Hold on, let me rewatch it.
All right.
Wemby got there eventually. It was not a Jakob situation.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll watch it later, Art, for sure. But let's get to the other side of the ball, the Mavericks, real quick. Is Klay Thompson still playing? Do you know?
Yeah, dude. They forgot for a minute and let him get like 3 wide open threes in a row. I was like, I've done a lot better job of not cursing during Grizzlies games. I've really worked on my
because you got character. A kid now.
Yes, and I want my wife to love me, but I let him fly. The third time they left him wide open, I was like, "What the?" And I was just like, "There's just no way." But dude, it works when you got Luka and Kyrie because all you need him to do is hit a few of those a game. But it's definitely not Klay of old.
Yeah. Well, tonight he had 27 minutes, which honestly I forgot majority of those minutes. And as AC Surreal saying, they sit Hardy in fourth quarter because he was on a heater. So he was early on, and they took him out to bring Klay in, I believe is what the switch was. And Klay came in and knocked down those two, right? I think he was one for 5, and then he made 2 of the next 3 at that point. So I will say that Klay, I forgot he was even playing until he hit those 2. But 27 minutes, 3 of 8 from 3, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, was a minus 18 overall in those 27 minutes. So it is what it is. But I'm out on Klay.
Yeah, he's great if you need somebody to just spot up and make shots. Or I'm talking about Ja's dunk on Jakob Poeltl back in the day. Ja's dunk on Wemby was the same as this, which again is much more impressive because of Ja's height. But this is not a bad dunk. It just wasn't.
No. All right, so I got a question with this team that we saw tonight for the Dallas Mavericks, and Chad, if you'll, I guess, share your sentiments as well. It makes me like kind of check myself a little bit, okay? For the simple fact is, there's no Kyrie and there's no Luka tonight, but for the majority of the team was all there, correct? Other than Gafford getting hurt,
I feel like they're missing someone else. I don't feel like that's the whole team. Kyrie,
but nobody crazy.
Yeah, let me go find their injury report real quick.
So I'm seeing Gafford, Irving, Doncic, and Exum is the only 4 guys they have out.
Sounds right.
Okay, even Keith Meeks said no Exum. Sorry, Keith Maddox says no Exum. So all right. So with that being said, the Grizzlies are way, way, way out with more players, right? Because no Vince, no Gigi, no Ja, no Bane, just to name some.
Yeah,
you can. Does it make us take a step back? Because it made me take a step back when I thought about it, when I saw and thought about their team looking like trash. Because I see Goodness Shooters talking about how Dallas is trash. I agree. Do we need to take a step back and say, hey, if we were just missing 2 players, we would look a whole lot better? Or like our team is still playing so good, even though we're without all these players. Like, should we take a step back as a fan and appreciate how well we're still playing, even though we're without all these different guys?
Well, I mean, we played well for 3 quarters of this game. I don't know if you watched the 2 before, but it was ass.
Yes, I agree. But we're also down these players.
It was bad. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes a difference. But it's also like for the Mavs, their 2 players are missing are Luka and Kyrie. Like, okay, if we're only missing 2 players, but it's Ja and Jaren, it's probably going to look pretty rough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it makes a difference who the 2 players are for sure. I don't think that Mavericks team is bad. I disagree.
I don't think they're great. I think they're based around, their whole team is based around Luka and Kyrie, correct? Which is understandable. And this team isn't built like that. So I guess it is a different look, but that that honestly goes to show that you're without Bane and you're without Ja, and you're saying if we were without Ja and Jaren, that makes me even feel better about Jaren and the way he's playing, because he's keeping the boat afloat, right? And so it makes me, that's what I'm getting at, is as a fan, but as just in general, us watching these games, we can kind of see it like, hey, we still lost. Like, that pisses me off, like against the Kings. But you're without so many of these guys that you realistically, you have to feel good in a sense, because we literally are down so many dudes that if we had them back, then I'd get being frustrated with loss. But in the end of the day, I think that we have to appreciate Jaren, but also the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, you should feel good about the team as a whole, but I just want to be a realist. Like, you also need to realize, like, hey, they're losing. Yeah, exactly. They are losing in ways that, like, hey, quit turning the freaking ball over.
Yeah.
Quit turning the ball over, focusing on deep. Like, they're doing things that just shouldn't be done. Like, it's things within their control.
Like 5 straight games of 5+ turnovers in the first quarter.
Yeah, man. Like, and you notice they had a ton of turnovers in the first quarter, and then through the beginning of the second quarter, they finished with 13.
Yeah.
Right. They really cut it down. But dude, they quit turning the ball over, quit throwing the ball out of bounds, getting in a rush. Jake LaRavia having the baseline violation on an inbound. Like, that stuff's got to quit happening.
Yeah.
And they're young. And part of it is they're like, hey, let's go. But sometimes, like, you got to be able to slow down. Yeah. That's when you need to have your best player step in, like a John Morant, who knows a game and just such a high basketball IQ. It's insane. Yeah. So they've got a lot to clean up. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I think they've got to get some bets, man.
Yeah, definitely got to get some bets. We'll get into all that. But this is Grizz 901. We're the live post-game show for the Memphis Grizzlies. And we're going to get into Grizz trivia, Greer Gentry. I see you talking about Edey. Don't go anywhere. We have an Edey Grizz trivia for this time, and actually have some graphics to go with it. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it sucks, maybe it doesn't, but either way. But yes, hang out with us. If you're over watching on YouTube here with us, you're doing all the right things. Do me a favor, though. Hit that like button. It'll help us grow as a show. But if you're watching over on Twitter, join us over on YouTube. This is where everybody is. Everybody that you're seeing, the questions and the comments that are pulling up on the screen, well, they're coming from YouTube. And so we want to make sure we grow the YouTube family, because that's where everybody is kind of hanging out. But enough of that. King Minx, this is for you. Let's hit the Grizz trivia. All right, this is Grizz trivia. All right, Nate, I hope you're ready for this one. I do have some graphics. I hope everybody's excited. Look what we have here. So Zack Edey has the record for the most consecutive positive, which is a plus, on the plus-minus games this season by a rookie. So how many games in a row does Zack Edey have a consecutive positive plus-minus?
16.
16 is your answer. That was a quick one. Keith Maddox says 3.
Dang, Keith.
So is that your final answer? We have 8 from Grizz Girl. We have Heaven's Hell the Kitchen says 4. King Mix says 5. This is the record, ladies and gentlemen. In a row, how many consecutive positive plus-minus
encouraging Kayla?
All right, either Greer Gentry agrees with you and says 16.
That makes me think I'm right, because dude clearly loves him some Zack Edey. But
he does love him some Zack Edey.
Makes me sort of want to change it.
All right.
I am sticking with 16.
All right, your final answer is 16. Well, the answer is 15. So you weren't far off at all. But Zack Edey does hold the record for this season for the most consecutive positive plus-minus games by a rookie. And that number is 15. And the reason I bring that up, Nate, is because 2 games ago against the Kings, I believe it was the Kings, he had his first, he had 15 in a row up until that game. And then he had a minus 11. And then you look at the number tonight, he was a minus 5. And so he's put up 2 stinkers back to back, which isn't great. But he was kind of leading up to that. And he was playing well, which I know the plus minus doesn't matter as much. But the fact that you're a rookie and you're still able to put up a positive number when you're in the game, it only benefits the team, but also benefits him. So King makes it. We all know it ended tonight. No, it ended last game. But I had a better one last game, so I had to bring that one. So, does that shock you at all?
No, listen, we talked about it earlier. He continues to improve, continues to get better and better, and play really well. And tonight was a bad game for him, but don't tell our buddy Greer that. But it was a bad game for him. But he continues to do really, really good things for the Grizzlies. You love to see it. The pace at which he has improved has been really encouraging.
I got a question because I didn't think about this at all. Lauren brings up that black eye really got to him. I'm going to look it up right now because I think that it's a great thing because he had to miss that one game, right? So we played Dallas, Golden State, Sacramento. So Sacramento was his first game back, right? From that, yeah. And so he got the black eye. I think it was for that game. And then he had a 0. He posted a 0 in the Sacramento game. And then back-to-back, minus 11 Golden State, and then tonight a minus 5 versus Dallas. He has not had a plus minus since that black eye.
Has he really not?
He has not.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
All right, so let's get through this. So the Grizzlies take on the Kings on Thursday. We're going to go ahead and do the look ahead, but they play them 3 times this month, which is not exactly exciting. But let's go ahead and look at the look ahead. And this is from our guy, Ryan.
Let's look ahead to Thursday night's home game for our Memphis Grizzlies against the Houston Rockets. Look, we know all about the Houston Rockets. We know what their game plan is going to be. Use their size, length, and athleticism to be as physical defensively as they can be. That is what they are known for. They are virtually top 5 in every defensive metric in the NBA right now. So that is their calling card. They are basically the Orlando Magic of the Western Conference, a team that is not typically a good three-point shooting team who gets it done on the defensive end and grinds out games. The Houston Rockets are the second worst three-point shooting team by percentage at 32.6%. I bring that up because in our first matchup against the Houston Rockets, the Houston Rockets won 128-108. Basically an even game for both teams. Both teams had 19 turnovers. Both basically shot about the same, except for one factor. The Houston Rockets had an outlier three-point shooting performance. They made 17 threes against the Grizzlies in that game at a 40% clip, while the Grizzlies only made 10. So lose by 20. Houston Rockets outperform you by 21 points from 3. There is your difference. Jaren Jackson Jr. also did not play in this game, so that was also a big difference defensively. I'm adding this stat just because I know it's Nate's favorite thing to talk about, but if you remember in this game, 72 combined free throws for both teams. So I expect the same kind of affair. I expect the Houston Rockets to go back to their kind of normal shooting average. I expect this to be an even game. It will be very physical. Tempers might flare. We might get a fake quote-unquote fight or two. But I'm expecting a very close game. And hopefully the Grizzlies will pull out a very competitive defensive battle.
All right. So the Grizzlies take on the Rockets on Thursday. We'll get into a little bit of that. But as we do the look ahead and the look around. But they play them Thursday the 9th, and they play them the 13th, and they play them again the 30th. 3 times in this month. Does that Thursday game worry you?
I mean, yeah. Like, what are we talking about? First off, if there's that many fouls again, I might have to go. I'm gonna have to turn the game off. Somebody else is gonna have to come in here. I can't do that. It's disgusting. I won't have it. My entire household is sick. I don't need to be sick too. But yeah, how does that team not worry you, especially if you're down guys? Now Dez has an ankle sprain, which is super duper fun. I don't know what to tell you. It's a good team you're playing, good defensive team, and you don't got guys who can score.
Yeah. So what I will do is say that Gurgency is all about, like, his flag in the Edey Island is alive, but Edey against Steven Adams,
Yeah,
that's going to be fun because you have Sengun who's going to, obviously start. At that point, I don't think you can do Sengun against Edey. I don't. That wouldn't interest me. I think you can go Clark there because you have to have somebody for Steven Adams. We didn't see him the last time, so I'm curious if we do see him. He's been playing, and so he's been playing really well. If everybody, a shout out to our guy, the OG guy. God, what's his name? The Steven Adams stats. Shout out to him. I started seeing him come. He's kind of popping back up in my algorithm of people. But I guess because Adams is playing again, he's starting to pop back up. But shout out to Steven Adams. Shout out to Steven Adams stats because we love that guy. We'll have to get him on some team. Maybe because we're playing them 3 times over the next this month. Maybe we'll get Steven Adams stats to come back on. It might be Thursday. We don't know.
So Funaki's awesome.
Yeah. Funaki stats. That's what it is. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. But yeah, yeah, I am an idiot. But does that game anything interest you at all?
I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, you don't know how it's going to be interesting. Yep. It's hard to say you're gauging yourself and it's going to be a great game because you got so many guys hurt. I mean, Santi's not going to be back. Ja won't be back. Who knows if Dez is back? If he's actually got a bad ankle. I mean, yeah, it'll be really hard to see. But, the guys could step up and play really well, which make it a good game. But you got to have guys step up that you wouldn't expect to, right? You got to have another big Jalen Wells game where he gets hot from the perimeter. You need Scotty to play well. You got to have guys that can shoot, right? You got to have threats out there besides Jaren. And that's what you don't have with all the injuries that you've got. So that'll be tough. And then, listen, between Sengun and Steven Adams, those guys could out-rebound the entire team.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right? Well, listen, one thing I'm not looking forward to is trying to watch Zack Edey go up against Steven Adams. I love to be pleasantly surprised, but I've got doubts.
Yeah, I think that I think Edey's going to be fine against Steven Adams. Well, nobody's fine against Steven Adams, but I think he'll be fine against that matchup because of the movement and the size that he could give to, I guess, be an issue for them and just in general. But the Grizzlies have to knock down shots for sure. But also there has to be a method to the madness on the defensive end because these teams are getting way too many open and butt naked threes. Like that's just true. So we'll see. But I hate seeing Dylan Brooks play. It's always a pain watching him play because it's terrible. I was never a fan of him just in general, but now when he comes back, it just pisses me off even more. So not exactly excited about that game Thursday.
Well, I mean, when you look at who we replaced him with, it was like at least Dylan played.
Damn. All right, let's move into that. Do you think that we get any of these guys back anytime soon? Because we're obviously without Ja, and we could have some other guys, but the Ja thing supposedly isn't as bad. Do we think there's any chance we could get Ja back in the next week?
There's definitely a chance. He's also a superhero.
Yeah.
So, that dude heals at the speed of light, it feels like. He goes into his Goku chamber. I can't remember what it's actually called. But he's he heals so fast that there's always a chance, and it sounds like things are trending well. Sounds like Santi's trending well. Vince and Gigi both should not be far away at this point. Yeah. Dez, I don't know. I didn't know he tweaked his ankle. I don't remember seeing that happen. Do you?
Well, I think that he's had some issues. He's been banged up a lot. I think this was a spot for them to target to get him rest, in my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. And so I think that they saw this and said, hey, he's banged up here and there. Let's go ahead and target. They're without Kyrie. They're without Luka. We can somehow win this game and give him a game rest. I think that's what happened.
Maybe. I hope so. Because we just can't afford to keep dropping bodies again. You know, I mean, they can. They've built up a good record, right? That's a nice part of having a good start to the season, is you can deal with stuff like this happening in the middle. Not to mention the All-Star break is not crazy far away at this point. But I think these guys will get back soon, but not for this game.
Yeah, I agree. Lauren wants to know, we doing a Steven Adams tribute video?
Everybody gets a tribute video now, I guess.
We'll give him his
45. I love Steven Adams, by the way.
Same.
I love him. I have nothing against it, but I don't know. It's not like he was here for a decade or anything, and I don't know. Maybe
I'd take him on this team in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. What are we talking about?
I agree. All right, let's get a little bit into the rumor mill, because this is where everything gets a little spicy. Would you want Jimmy Butler on this team, and why would you not want him on this team?
I mean, would I want Jimmy Butler on this team? Point blank, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just, some people do not. That's why I want to ask the question. If you do, that's fine. Yeah, but at what cost? Like I think most would say yes. There are some people like Big Die saying no, I do not. And whatever reasons, as of you don't like the player, you don't like him on a rental. And Austin's the same way as I am. He's saying depends on what we have to give up. And I agree. I'm the same way. But let's go ahead and preface it with, you're not having to give up Ja, Jaren, or Bane. And we can figure out whatever else we need to figure out after that point. But
yeah,
would you? Okay, as long as you're not. So I'm trying to find out people's restrictions. Like, you have to make the money work, right? But we also do have some financial ability to get him back without paying the exact same amount that he is making, which is, I think, $48 million.
Yeah.
So if you're able to figure out a way, is there a guy that, hey, it puts me over the edge if we have to give up this guy? Because Austin Moore's down there, I don't want to give up BC in that trade.
I'd give up BC.
Okay.
The only reason I wouldn't want to give up BC, I'm big on, I think the Grizzlies should go get a guy like John Collins as well. I just feel it feels like the PJ Washington move to push you over the top like it did Dallas, to get to Western Conference Finals, to get to a finals and compete for a championship. I think you need that size 3-and-D on the wing type of player. I would not want to give up the young guys that have proven you can count on them. I wouldn't want to give up Gigi and Vince, right? It'd be tough to give up Jalen Wills at this point with the way he's performing, right? BC, just because it feels like BC's going at some point, right? It just doesn't feel like the athleticism and the mesh is there like it was before. It feels like he needs too much around him, like you were saying. I think BC can be on this team and they win a championship.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's essential to it necessarily. You're not giving up Ja, you're not giving up Jaren, you're not giving up Dez. Outside of that, and then the young guys that you need to be able to build around and have those contracts, I'm pretty open after that point. The cons are the rental part.
True.
Right? There's a very non-zero chance that you're getting a rental. Right? There's a non-zero chance you're not getting a rental. And that would change things quite a bit.
You're 100% getting a rental.
Well, I mean, there's always a chance. Listen, there's stranger things have happened. Right? Okay. I'm just saying it's a non-zero chance. I said there's a very non-zero chance you are getting a rental for a reason. But at the same time, you're here to compete for a championship. And Jimmy is one of those guys who I don't know you just trade for any star, but Jimmy Butler's the kind of guy that can help push a team like this over the top. Right. If he can be Wolverine himself. Somebody said earlier him and D Rose are the same age, and I was like, no way. And they are. Like, he's 35. I did not realize he's 35 years old. But if he can still turn on in the playoffs, this guy can go get a bucket for you. And also, he is not going to let himself get bullied. He's not going to let his team get bullied. And I feel like you need that. You need vets that are going to push the team. They're going to keep them level and say, like, no, we're the aggressor. We're bringing it to them. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have that on this team right now.
No, we definitely don't have that on this team right now. Like, it's disgusting how bad it is. But what I'll say is, I think what Jimmy Butler brings to the team, like the Grizzlies, is a little veteran leadership. And what you have to have a guy in your locker room that's been there before. And he's been there before. So Jimmy Butler, what does Jimmy Butler, the negative thoughts about Jimmy Butler is he has been injured. Okay. Right. So I get that. He also has an ego. Okay. So you have to abide by that. He doesn't play during the regular season. Like, he doesn't go all out during the regular season. He literally just takes over games during the playoffs. So let me explain that. Injuries, they're going to happen no matter if you go get a guy or not, right? If he's able to be a good player, worst case, you give up some things and the season doesn't go as you thought because the one guy got injured. Okay, that's the worst case, right? But then you're done with him and you kind of start back over, and you let go of some guys that weren't going to be here anyway, or guys that you really didn't think that were good enough to be on your team to get you over that. So I think that's the other thing is like you're giving up guys that maybe like a BC. Like, I really would have liked BC. It's fine. I think you can go find a BC if you really needed to. Okay. But the other thing is Jimmy Butler can take your team to the next level. So I that's just that's where I'm stuck at. But a lot of people are talking about Kevin Love being added to the deal. The reason Kevin Love would be added to the deal is because the Miami Heat do not want to take on a bunch of contracts for one. They don't want to do a 3-for-1. So you add in a Kevin Love. Kevin Love, it works into a trade exception. The Grizzlies have a bunch. He can work into a trade exception that way, and he ends up getting waived, I would assume. I don't think that they keep Kevin Love around unless they keep Kevin Love around just because of locker room leadership. That'd be the only reason they'd keep Kevin Love around. But there's no way he's playing on this team. Just in general, I think he's too old. He's too washed. I haven't seen him play in a hot minute. But if he can contribute a little bit, great. If not, I think we're good. I think we're good. I'd rather have Jay Huff than him.
Yeah, I don't think the Kevin Love stuff is for me. I mean, it's whatever. But here's the reason I'm okay with Jimmy Butler and the trade stuff going on. Only thing you're trading to go get Jimmy Butler is trade pieces. Mm-hmm. Like pieces that you would use for a trade.
Right.
Like, let's just be honest. Do we think at this point Marcus Smart is someone's going to help push this team over the top?
No.
You can love Marcus Smart all you want. I was big on get a guy who, like you said, has been here before and can win. But at this point, it's like he barely played for this team. He always seems to be hurt, and he doesn't seem to be pushing his team over the top. He's done a lot for the team. I think he has had a net positive for the team. Is he pushed over the top? No. So you have any problem trading him? No. Luke? Jake? You're already trying to find ways to consolidate.
Yep.
So, like, worst case scenario, you're getting a guy. You're not signing a guy to a 5-year, $50 million per year contract.
No.
Right? So everybody who's sitting there is like, hey, he's 35 years old. I'm like, you only asking for this 1 year.
That's
it. You're not committing to this guy.
You're trying to catch lightning in a bottle.
Exactly. Now, the other part of that is, and I think this is what makes me laugh, is a ton of people who are sitting there like, who would say, oh no, but you're trading him and you're trading all these pieces. You get to go, would be the same people pushing for Vince and Gigi and how good they're going to make this team when they come back. So it's a bit of a catch-22. Do you trust these guys coming up to come in and fill these roles that we're hoping they're good enough to fill? If so, go get the rental. Like you said, catch lightning in a bottle. If not, then what are you going to do? Because let me tell you, watching this team night in and night out, they're not beating an OKC.
No.
Sorry, guys. Like, you're going to have a hard time beating a Dallas. You're going to have a hard time beating a Houston. Right now, you can compete with all those teams, but you're not winning it. I'm sorry. I watch this team night in and night out. It does not feel like a team that I think is going to go and win a championship.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't. Like, it feels like something is missing.
Yeah.
And I think veteran leadership, and it's someone who can go knock down a bucket for you when Ja is taken away, when Dez is taken away, when Jaren's taken away. Like, who's going to be the other guy? Who's going to make the shot? Jalen Wells has played awesome. Do you think it's Jalen Wells in Game 6 of a Western Conference Finals? Like, come on, man. Let's be realistic about this.
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler can do that for you.
Yeah, I think he can. I think he's a guy that can really push you over the I guess just kind of the threshold of where you need to get to as a team. He's an older guy. He is obviously a guy that's kind of in his I guess fading out of his career. But in the end of the day, you do still have to get to it. And everybody's talking about Luke having a no trade clause. I agree, he does. But I would assume that he would go ahead and say, hey, I'll get traded to a team like Miami. Like, I don't think he'd be the guy that say, hey, send me to the Wizards. I don't think that would. But I do think he's a guy that would say, hey, send me to a place like Miami that can honestly, revitalize a career, but also give you a good landing spot. I don't care who it is. In all honesty, it can be Luke. It can be Jake. It can be Smart. It can be BC. Any of those guys. You have to give up something to get something, but in the end of the day, I'm okay. And even Alan bring up a point of the option, a $54 million player option for a 36-year-old player. You don't need any of these guys during the regular season. Your team is good enough to win in the regular season. They've shown it. They're winning with backups. They're winning with guys that should not be playing on an NBA court on a regular basis. Like Jake LaRavia is not a rotational NBA player. He's just not. But he's playing rotational minutes. So because of that, I think this team can win the regular season. They've shown it. It's all about, can they win those big matchups? The fourth quarter games, those clutch time minutes. Can they win the playoffs when everything slows down? That's the team that I don't think the Grizzlies have right now. And I think they know that. So either way, we'll see.
And here's what drives me crazy. And listen, like, these are all really good conversations and like conversation we've been having. But I'm saying, like, go get Kuzma and JV and go get Cam Thomas from King Meeks. I'm like, you don't need guys, like you were saying, to help you win right now.
Right.
Who's going to make the shot for you in Game 6 of a finals and Game 6 of a Western Conference Finals semis? Because right now, this team feels like it's pushing to get you past the Western Conference semis. You don't need someone who can win regular season games. You need someone who can go get the big bucket when it matters. Yeah. Make the big shot from the corner. I guess we need Xavier Tillman back because he made that big shot against the Warriors. I guess that's who we need. But it's like Cam Johnson. He's been there before, right? And then you got guys like, the reason I'm like, hey, John Collins makes sense is because that dude's got the dog. That dude has that dog in him. And that matters. That matters. Like, okay, who's going to be able to nut up and make that shot? And it feels like John Collins is one of those guys. Just like PJ Washington did it for them last year. The Mavs last year. I don't want these guys like Cam Thomas are putting up empty stats for the Nets. I don't want these guys like Kyle Kuzma, who's been doing it for the Wizards, who have been trash for years, right? Like, you need that on his team. So my question for everyone who doesn't want Jimmy Butler is, if you're not getting him, who are you getting? Because right now this team isn't good enough. They are a good team. They could push. Who knows? Maybe Vince and Gigi come back and that completely changes the dynamic. I wouldn't put all my eggs in the basket of those two guys are pushing you to a Western Conference Finals. Yep. Sorry, I don't believe that they're there yet. It's their second year in the NBA.
Yeah, and we don't know what you're going to get coming off of injuries. We saw Vince come back and he was fine, and then he got hurt again. Like, that doesn't mean these guys, one, can't get injured again, but two, coming off of injuries, they might not be the same. It might take them a while to get ramped up, and they might not be completely ready to get to the actual time when we need them for the playoffs. Maybe they are. I don't know. My thing is with the player option ability or not, I'm still okay with the player option because you have a window. It's a 2-year window, in my opinion, before you really have to pay Jaren, that you have the time to strike right now. And somehow, with or without that player option from Jimmy, that window allows him to come into it. And then during the offseason, you do have some chance, some wiggle room. And maybe you can do a sign and trade with a guy like that. maybe you can say, hey, if we can do a sign and trade because of the new collective bargaining agreement. You can sign and trade him to somewhere that will be willing to pay him a new contract, and then you can get assets back in that. There's a lot of things that can happen because you go out and sign and trade. I don't know if they need him. They need something. As this team is currently constructed, like you said, they're not ready.
Yeah, you need someone. You need something, right? And with Jimmy Butler, if you're giving up a bajillion first-round picks, then that may change it a little bit, right? You don't want to sell your entire future, because that's the whole point of why this Jimmy move makes sense, is you're not giving up the farm
exactly
to go get a guy, and you're not financially handicapping yourself to go get him either, right? Yeah. So, like, we make the move unless you have to give up the farm to go get him, right? But I mean, the Heat don't want him there either. Pat Riley might kill him if he's there for another month. Like, Pat Riley is one of those dudes. But you got to make a move. Jimmy Butler seems like the move that's out there. Unless I'm big on them trading with Utah, because I'm a huge Colin Sexton fan. I like John Collins, but that seems to be the move available, and it's a move that makes sense, because if it works, you can win a Western Conference Finals. You can go win a championship if that works.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you're probably not losing out on much anyways.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a role, whether it's a relationship, which people can understand, or maybe a position at a job, and they just said, it's not amicable. We're not good. Like, we're pissed off. You know what you do immediately? You go get into your breakup shape, right? You go start working out again. You're pissed off, and you want to show up, and you want to show out, and you want to make sure that they regret that decision. I'm okay being Jimmy's breakup partner. I promise you that, because he can come here and we can do whatever we need to do to go ahead and get a pissed off Jimmy and go win a championship. So I'm down with that. I'll be your boo. I don't care for how long, but we'll be your boo for sure. And I'll reap the benefits of a pissed off Jimmy, no doubt.
Yeah, man. Listen, I didn't get this jacked in one day. Everybody can see how big I am. There was a breakup involved. Just saying. But here's what I know we've kind of belabored this point. Who? Like, Alan, you're our guy. Love seeing you here, because you if you know nothing, you keep it real.
Hey, and Alan, on this, I agree. The problem, just like you said, is who? I don't know. And that's why I see Jimmy as an opportunity to not sell the farm. To cut off your nose, spite your face, whatever. Like, that's literally what you're doing, is you're selling 3 first-round picks, 3 prospects, just to get a lightning in a bottle. No, we're not doing that. You're selling 3 guys, whatever. You're probably sending out at least 3, and most of those guys aren't the long-term that are going to change your core, and you're not having to give up a lot of the first-round picks to get a guy who has a lightning in a bottle potential. That's why. So I agree with that completely, Alan.
Yeah. If you can go get someone, like, you go get Cam Johnson, you go get John Collins and Colin Sexton, I love Jeremy Grant. I know you hate him, but I have no idea why you hate him. If you can go get guys like that, then sure, that makes a ton of sense. Doesn't seem to be a lot of smoke there. So I don't know what move you could make to make that happen.
All right, so this is gonna be a tough one, and we'll try to end the show a little bit on this one. What are both of your perfect trades? I know I've seen a lot of everybody else's perfect trades as well, and in the chat. And feel free. This from Lauren, and I'll speak for her. This isn't to just us as well. I know it is, but it's to everybody. Like, if you have a perfect trade, by all means, share it. I would love to see it. One, I promise you, I've never entered a room and was the smartest guy unless I'm in there by myself. So please share your opinions, share whoever you're thinking about. Do you have one off the top of your head? Just kind of, and it doesn't have to be a player, right? It doesn't have to be, hey, exactly like one pick, these 2 guys for this guy. But is there a guy you're like, hey, if we could get these 2 guys by giving up this and this is the perfect trade for me?
If you could go get John Collins and Colin Sexton, I think that does wonders for you.
What would you give up? Do you need me to do the trade machine?
I don't know the contracts.
Well, shit.
I know BC would be involved in that, I would assume. I don't know. John Collins making around 20, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to try to
I
go
can't
do
remember
it.
Sexton's. I think he was like somewhere around 18.
All right. Let's start the trade, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could show you this, but I know my stuff will completely just be ridiculous.
Also, Mitchell Robinson. I still believe Mitchell Robinson would be awesome for this team.
You love Mitchell Robinson. You have a weird affection of him.
No, it's because I've watched him play and I've watched John Morant play, and I think that would go well.
All right, so John Collins, 26, 26.5, and you said Sexton, 18.3. So you have a total, where is it? I don't really
40,
like it.
44?
They do so.
Ish. Say it's 26 for John Collins.
Yeah, so you're having to at least give up Marcus Smart.
Okay.
Let's do Luke Kennard. God, they have a 12.8 trade exception. So we're off. It looks like we're off by a little bit on that. So we're 29. So we're left about $10 million is what we're off on. So you probably have to send, let's say we send BC for that and see what it does. It passes. So that's the ballpark, right? John Collins, Colin Sexton, Smart, Clark, Kennard. You can somehow do a 4, right? If you were to get Jake LaRavia and John Conchar, I think you would make up the difference instead of sending out BC. But
yeah,
you're in the same area, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm in. Yeah, you sold me even more than I was sold before. Also, we're gonna bring Lawrence Common back up, but for AC, as someone who has bet on Jordan Clarkson when he's not playing the Grizzlies, trust me, you don't want that.
Nope.
Just trust me. Put money on him when he's playing somebody random this month, and you'll decide that you don't want that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I promise.
All right, so I see some other people talking about different guys they want. Miles Bridges, Lamar Stevens, Bruce Brown, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, people like that. I see Kuzma and JV from Austin. Jeremy Grant was in the Kelly Oubre. I see so much of this, but the problem with that is like none of these guys move the needle for me. Okay, I need a needle mover. I need a consolidation trade. And honestly, like I don't see it out there anywhere other than if you want to go get a KD and he's a rental, great. But the problem is like that would make no sense for what they're doing over in Phoenix. Right. 0 sense. I do like Cam Johnson. I think that they need a shooter. The problem is like what you're going to have to give up in future assets. It's not who you're going to give up players. It's the future assets of the first round picks is what they really want.
Right.
You're giving up a lot of potential. Now, a 25th pick over, for the next 3 or 4 years, I'm not against. Like, if you're that good, you're not giving up much of a first round pick. You're just giving up 10 picks earlier than, where they're picking probably in the second round. So it's not that crazy of a difference.
Right.
But it is a guy like Jimmy that I really do want. I like Brandon Ingram. I don't think he's proven himself much, in my opinion. I don't know who the guy is that would really be the vet that would come here and say, hey, we can do this. I think what you have to happen is if you get a guy like Jimmy, you might be able to get somebody in something something late, like in the buyout market. Like you then can possibly have that opportunity then because you do have a guy who's a proven winner in Jimmy coming here and saying, hey, you have this open roster spot. This guy got bought out of his contract after the trade deadline. We'll come here to you, like as a big. But as Ed's saying, Anthony Davis for Jitty.
Yeah, I'm in. Sign me up.
Yeah, but I don't know who. And I know that's a terrible answer, Lauren. I don't know who it is. And when I saw the opportunity for Jimmy, I was bigger on that than I was for Brandon Ingram because I don't think Brandon Ingram's got that pissed off mentality and saying, hey, I'm ready to win. I'm going to prove them wrong because Jimmy only has so many years left. Right. So I think that he would come here pissed off and push us above, honestly, OKC.
Brandon Ingram is a great scorer. He's become a better defender the longer he's been in the league too. I want to relate that move to what we see happen in Minnesota right now.
Yes.
Which is your best player is Anthony Edwards by a long shot, and you went and brought in players that like Dante DiVincenzo, great Memphis Grizzly, terrible Minnesota Timberwolf. Doesn't make sense that your best player doesn't fit with passing to Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies' best player, Jaren, has been incredible. Out of this world. He is the one that can dominate matchups night after night after night. The guy on this team that will push you over the top in the playoffs and has risen to the moment is John Morant.
100%.
It is. And listen, both can be true. Jaren can be the one that dominates games. Ja can be the one that elevates you to that next level.
Yeah.
Who can you put next to John Morant that's going to elevate you to that next level? I don't think the answer is Brandon Ingram.
No.
Because Brandon Ingram, when he's at his peak, needs the ball in his hands. Zion and him never worked because both those guys need the ball in their hands.
Yeah, I agree.
Same thing.
And answering a couple questions. One, Lauren, I agree. Listen, we will never be the guys who will stand on and say, hey, we're the smartest, and we're going to tell you what's going to happen. Like, that's not us. But I appreciate being open and honest, and that's how we are, you as well, it seems. Just ask, like, hey, what are your thoughts? Because that does allow us to all speak. Like, I promise you, you'll never put anything up here. We might make fun of you, which is fine. You're allowed to make fun of us. But we're gonna at least talk through it. And so I appreciate that, just kind of us talking through things. But I know Austin's a little butthurt right now, so I'm gonna talk to him real quick. Valanciunas 100% is better than Edey. The problem is Valanciunas costs more money, and I don't think JV is going to come here and just take a backup role. Plus, they've had some issues in the past with JV and Ja. If they can rekindle that, I'm down. I love JV. I love JV and I loved Adams. I think they're both better than Edey. The problem is JV wants to score more than Adams does. He's not as good of a passer as Adams, but I do love both of them.
Edey is already better defensively than JV.
I don't care. I don't care about his defense.
Well, I don't care about JV's offense. What are you going to do? Get the ball out of Ja's hands to JV a bajillion times a game so he can post
What you going to do, brother?
JV already got played off the court in the playoffs once for us. I don't need to see it happen again.
Yeah. All right. Last thing to do to talk about this. I know
Mitchell Robinson, Austin. Mitchell Robinson.
We talked a lot about the trade, but I want to bring up one more fact. The Grizzlies are 24-13 in the third place. If you look all the way down, Portland, I think they're a seller. I don't know what they have to sell. I think they're a seller. Utah, seller. New Orleans, I don't think that they thought they were going to be a seller, but they're the worst team in the league, so they kind of have to be a seller. Well, I guess Washington's worse than them. But above them, Phoenix. I think Phoenix thinks that they're going to be okay. They're obviously pissed off, right? Sacramento, I think they're teetering. I think that they just fired their coach. They're teetering. San Antonio doesn't want to do anything stupid, so they're not going to give away any of their good players, that we would want. Like, we're trying to consolidate. They're not trying to do that right now.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Golden State, Clippers, Dallas, Lakers, Nuggets, Rockets, Thunder. None of them are just going to sell, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go up to the Eastern. Wizards. Okay, you got Kuzma, you got JV. We talked about that. I don't really love them. I don't love them on this team, right? But then you got Charlotte. All right. They have one of as high as votes getters for the All-Star team. And Ball has looked good. His brother just came out with some singles, I believe. But I don't know anybody on Charlotte that I would like. I know Nick Richards has been the guy that people have talked about. All right. So let's go to Toronto. Toronto
would be awesome, but they won't come
off.
on.
Just Toronto. I know they're probably selling at some point. Brooklyn's selling. Okay. But that's it. There's not many teams that are legit selling. Okay. You do have Miami. They're 17-16. I think that they'd be okay with getting some guys, but they're not really giving up a ton. And so that's why that answer, to Lauren's question, it's hard because where do you get a guy that's going to move the needle? Because a lot of these teams that are selling, they're just not going to give up guys and take on our prospects or potential unless they're really just going to flip Marcus Smart to somebody else down the road if they can't use them. I don't know. There's a lot that comes in.
I will say out of the Raptors, I would love Bruce Brown.
He gets paid a lot of money though.
He does. I think he gets paid too much for this team. Would love him though. I don't think the Rage has a good one here. I don't think the Trailblazers are coming off of him. You don't sell everybody, right? You pick and choose the guys you want to try and use to build a team. I think he's going to be one of the guys that they build. Otherwise, I would like that for Memphis. Other than you're still getting a lot of youth in there, right?
Yeah.
You need someone that's a little bit older and more experienced, in my opinion. But as a player, I really like him a lot. But
see, I don't know enough about whatever his name is, Tumari.
Just one of those dudes who gets his nose in the action. Great rebounder, gritty guy. Love the energy. Reminds me a lot of BC without like the go-to floater type of thing. Yeah, I like him a lot actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, just looking at here, the Bruce Brown stuff, I want to get this before we close up shop. So he's actually on an expiring deal, $23 million expiring, unrestricted free agent next year. I had no idea that contract already ended.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Bruce Brown.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money. He's not, and he's probably.
I don't care about the money if it's expiring.
He's probably not re-signing with you. That's a guy who, like, what are you giving up to go get that? Like, I don't think he pushes you over the top.
But if it's something like this, what's the pick? Is it a first round? That's an issue, right? But for Kennard and Conchar, you're gonna lose. You want to get off of Conchar $6 million anyway. Kennard, which is not a lot of money, but then Kennard is expiring anyway. You could sign Luke Kennard back easily every year.
Depends on what else is out there.
Yeah,
it does, because like it's Kennard and Conchar plus pick for Bruce Brown. I would not hate replacing those two guys with Bruce Brown in the rotation. I would like to use Luke's contract for something bigger. Like that's one of the few contracts you have that's going to make a deal get done. And so I would like to see that go somewhere else. Plus, listen, he does have a no trade clause. I don't think he wants to go to Canada.
Oh no!
They already sent Garrett Temple out there. Poor Garrett. No, I don't think Luke's gonna let him send him out to Canada.
He's like, F that. All right. Well, that's it for the show. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us and kind of just chipping in. I know this is a kind of a very cold Memphis evening, but the Grizzlies did get the win tonight. It was 119-104 over our very hated rivals of Dallas Mavericks. But Jaren played well. The boys played well. We had a lot that we broke down with the game. If you're just catching this, go back, check it out. But if you're watching on Twitter, go ahead. Do me a favor. Join us on YouTube. We'll be back here Thursday night. Lauren's out of Mobile. Look at old Mobile.
Alabama.
But yeah, shout out to everybody for watching us as they always do. We'll be here Thursday night for sure. But make sure you kind of stay safe out there, stay warm. There is the polar vortex is coming, so be careful. But I got to get running. I got to get some sports betting knowledge into my brain for my morning show in the morning. But we'll see you all around. Be nice and tell your friends.